Blessed be everybody and welcome to an episode of Soul Food. And today we're going to be making bagels. They're very easy to make. They are so much better than the ones that you buy in the store. And they're just plain fun to make. So let's get right into it with what you're going to need and how to make your bagels. So, to make your homemade bagels, you're going to need a few things. You're going to need 4½ cups of all-purpose flour, or you can use bread flour as well, 1 teaspoon of salt, 2 tablespoons of vegetable oil, 3 tablespoons of sugar, and 1 packet of instant dry yeast. And you are also going to need 1 1/4 cup of water. So making it is very easy, everybody. All you're going to do is you're just literally going to add all your ingredients in at once. And if you wanted to make different types of bagels, of course you're going to need certain things. You can need poppies for poppy seed bagels. You're going to need sesame for sesame seed bagels, and garlic and onion and all the rest of them if you want everything bagels. So what you're going to do here is you're just going to add in your packet of instant dry yeast. So now you're adding in your 3 tablespoons of white sugar. You can use brown sugar if you would like, but I only have white sugar on hand, so that's what we're going to be using today. You also want to add in your 1 teaspoon of salt and your 2 tablespoons of vegetable oil. The next part is quite easy. You just add in your water. And I don't stand on ceremony here, I just add the whole thing right on in there. Then you take your hands and you start to incorporate the wet and dry ingredients. And then I go and wash my hands. And we're going to take our flour here. And what you do is you just want to lightly flour the surface. And now the process is where it gets a little bit time consuming. Making bagels is really easy and very quick, but there is the whole kneading process. And that process is very long because you have to knead this for 10 full minutes. And when you're kneading, you just want to push out, bring it towards you, turn it over, push out, bring it towards you, turn over. And the reason why we knead is because we want to get that elasticity in the bread, okay? We want to build up that gluten. Now I know everybody's like, oh, we don't want gluten. But if you want a good bagel, if you want to be able to have that kind of fluffy, traditional bagel, then this is what you would do. All right, everybody, so now you should be at the finish point of kneading your dough. Now what you really want to do is you want to make sure that you have this kind of soft, very smooth consistency with your dough, okay? Then what you're going to do at this point is you're just going to form it into a nice little ball like this, okay? And I take a little bit of some olive oil and I just put it a little bit of some vegetable oil, and I just put that right in the bottom there, okay? Then you go ahead and you take your dough, you put it in there, and you just roll it around. Just want to roll it around in that vegetable oil, okay? All right, so what you're going to do now is you're just going to take some of your saran wrap here, okay? And you're just going to cover this over, and you're going to let this sit for about 2 hours or until it has doubled in size. And you don't want to put this on tight, y'all. You just want to lightly cover this, okay? You still want it to be able to breathe. And there you are. And you just leave that in a nice warm place for about 2 hours or until it has doubled in size. All right, everybody, so we are back now, and it has been about 1.5 hours. And as you can see, we have doubled, if not tripled, in size. Now, this didn't take as long as it would normally take if you live in a colder climate. However, we live in the Mediterranean Sea, so it is hot, and things like this happen quite rapidly. So what you're going to do now is you're just going to push down on the bottom in the middle of this, and you're going to get it to deflate on into itself, okay? So, what I normally do is I will take some more of my all-purpose flour, and I will sprinkle it. There you go. And then I go right on in here and I just remove. So you can see I'm just basically removing from the edge, okay? So I removed it from the edge, and then you go in there, you grab the whole thing, lift it out, and place it onto your surface. Okay, so what we're going to do now is I'm just going to cut down the middle of this. We'll just cut that in half. And now what I do is I just go down the middle of this, and I'm going to cut this half in half, just like this. And then I'm going to go and cut this half of one in half. And you end up with pieces like this. Now, this, I do like my bagels to be on the larger side. So you will find that these are quite large. You can cut these even more into, I've seen people cut them, or my grandmother, the person that I've seen, cut them into 12. And I just like my big bagels, so I don't do that. And there you are. You have 8 bagels that you're going to be making, which is great because I like to make them into, I like to get 2 poppy, 2 sesame, 2 plain, and 2 everything. So you get a good variety. So now I'm going to take a little bit more of this flour, and I'm going to roll these out. Now what I do is I normally start doing it by hand. I just roll and roll and roll, okay? I don't like to put too much flour onto my bagels. So there we go. And then you're just going to fold this in on itself like this, and you're going to pinch. And then you place it right there. And there is your first bagel. And we're going to go for the second one. Now remember, you want to go with your hands first. Get it in a circular motion. Okay. Now I'm going to move the table a little closer to you so you can see what I'm doing. Okay, so you're going to roll them out like this. Turn them around in on itself like this, and you're going to pinch. Pinch, 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 pinch. And there you have it. Your second bagel. Alright, so now what I do is I take my bagels and I just sit them on the floured surface, and I want to let them rise a little bit more. Now it's not going to be anything spectacular. I'm not waiting for 45 minutes for them to rise. I just want them to rise for about 15 minutes, just to be able to gain a little bit more size. And then what we're going to do is during this time, you're going to prepare your water. Alright everybody, so what we're going to do now is we are going to put a little salt in our water, and I want you to preheat your oven to 475 degrees. After you've preheated your oven, you're going to put a little bit of honey. Now this is a Montreal style that they do with the bagels, okay? And I have grew up and spent a lot of time in Montreal, so I do it this way. So while I'm waiting for this water to boil, I'm going to set down 3 bowls. And the reason why we're setting down these 3 bowls is because we're going to use them for the toppings of our bagel. So I'm going to have one for poppy, one for sesame seed, and one for everything bagels. And of course, the last 2 are going to be just your plain run-of-the-mill bagels. So we don't need anything for that except for a little salt. We are going to add a little bit of sesame seed to a bowl here. Now keep those close because these bagels will retain a lot of seeds, okay? And then I'm going to put a little bit of poppy seed in this one. All right, everybody, so then what you're going to do with your everything bagel, you're going to add some garlic and onion. Now you want it to be granulated, you don't really want it to be a powder. And as you can see, I'm adding some more of the sesame and the poppy seed in here, okay? And that is what the everything bagel will look like on top. So what we're going to do now is we are going to start adding our bagels to the water. And what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to keep those boiling for 2 minutes on each side. Now as you can see, they are quite large. Okay, so this has been cooking for about 2 minutes on this side. Now we're just going to flip this over. And be careful with it. Flip them all over. There you go. Okay, so now we have them cooking for 2 minutes on each side. So what I do is I just take them out and I transfer them to a plate. Now I always flip them over when I'm transferring them to the plate, right? I always flip them over to the top side so they kind of look like this. I'm a Canada boy, right? We used to go to the bakery and get these bagels, so for me I like them to be big and thick. None of those cheap little piddly bagels up in this witch. Alright y'all, so there is 2 ways to apply toppings. Now, my grandma used to do the dip method, okay? And all you do is you take the bagel and you just basically roll it around in the topping. And then what you're going to do is you're going to put that on your baking tray. As you can see here, I have them in my baking tray getting ready for the oven. I have my plain and my everything bagels all ready to go. So I'm just going to pop those in the oven for 15 minutes on 475. So now I'm going to show you the other way of being able to prepare your bagels. So what I kind of do here to be able to alleviate that large amounts of poppies is I will just take my bowl and I will just sprinkle. Now this is for the people who do not like their bagels to be coated. Now the everything bagels, we love them to have a lot of everything on them. But if you notice, I didn't put a lot of poppy in that. Okay, so for this, what I'm doing is I'm just sprinkle, 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 and there you go. I have there's enough poppy seeds on it, but it's not an overwhelming amount where you're not going to enjoy them. Of course, for those of you who love tremendous amounts of poppies on your bagels, boo-boos, just go ahead and just give her. Just flip it over and put it right into the poppies, and that's perfectly fine too. And don't forget, y'all, you always want to put a little bit of salt onto your bagels. And now these are ready to go into the oven as well. So I've just taken these out of the oven, and as you can see, they're nice and crispy and fabulous. So remember, you can put these on any baking tray that you have. I just seem to have these right now, so that's what I'm using. So those are the bagels that I've just taken out of the oven, and there you have it. You have a variety. You have plain, you have poppy, you have everything, and you have sesame bagels. They didn't take very long to do, and your family will love them. My son can eat 2 of those himself, and the guy's only a year and a half, so that gives you a good idea of how good they are. And there you have it, everybody. Bagels done the witch please way, darling. They're flavorful, they're magical, and they're just damn fun to make. And as you can see, the process was very easy, and if you've tasted one already, I'm sure you know they're fantastic. Now, if you have not subscribed yet, you need to press subscribe, and you need to join us. Don't miss out on a thing at Witch Please. You can follow us on Twitter, Tumblr, Instagram, as well as Facebook, and you can always send me a personal email at witchpleaseofficial@gmail.com. Now remember, darling, magic is magic, and soul food is for the soul. And if we do not have power in our soul, then we do not have magic. Remember, it is a pleasure to have you in my home, and darling, it's a pleasure to have you in my kitchen. You are always in my heart. I love you all, boo-boos, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.